Alright, muchachos. So we're going to do 3.5 image larger. I already have it downloaded and opened up in DrRacket. So let's go over the problem. It says, design a function named image larger, that consumes two images and produces whether the first given image is larger than the second. Alright, so pause the video and try to work through the solution on your own. We'll go over spoilers in 3, 2, and 1. Alright, so let's go over the steps as always. So the signature. So image larger, consumes two images, right? So image, and produces whether the first given image is larger than the second. So that sounds like a Boolean because either the first one is larger than the second or it's not larger than the second, right? So let's just write the purpose statement next. So produces true if the first given image is larger than the second. Right, next is the stub. So define the image larger function that consumes two images. I'm going to call it img1 and img2. And it's going to produce false as that dummy value. All right, so that is the 3. The first step's done. All right, now let's go over some examples. So check expect. Let's say image larger of rectangle. It's good to use rectangles for these image problems because they're easy to just swap it around, as you'll see shortly. So we'll say solid red for now. Doesn't really matter what the color is, but rectangle needs the arguments. So let's say is a 32 rectangle, 32 by 32 rectangle, larger than a 16 by 16 rectangle? And it is. So it should produce true, right? And let's see, looks like I got a failing test here. So image larger, this function is not defined. So I must have made a typo then if it says it's not defined. So let's see why I made the typo. So image larger. I forgot the R right here. All right. So there we go. So let me hide this and run it again. And there we go. All right, now it's finally failing. All right, so it's great. We got rid of our typos. Let's make a couple more tests here. So let me just illustrate this off to the side really quick. So there we go. Copy and paste here. So is that bigger than this? Yeah, it is. We can visually see that. Let's swap these two around. So instead of the first one being larger, the second one should be larger. So let me just do that really quickly. All right, in this case, it should produce false because the first one, this one, is smaller than that one, right? The first given image would be the tiny square, and it's not bigger than the second one, which is the bigger square. All right, let's come up with one more example for now. There we go. What happens if it's all equals, right? If it's the same, both these two square images are the same dimensions. Well, it should still produce false because that's what the problem statement states. It doesn't say anything about equal to, it just says it has to be greater, right? It has to be larger. All right. And let's do one last one for good measure. So we'll say, let me copy this. I'll say that what if this one's like so? It's still larger. It's going to be this one here compared to this one here, compared to this smaller one. So the first one still is smaller. And of course, we can swap that around just to triple check. All right, in this case, we'll just delete, backspace, oh, there we go, hit enter, there we go. All right, so let's run the test, make sure there are no typos. Oh, Control R. All right, so now let's move on to the next step. So there we go. All right, so the template. So let's just turn the stub into the template since we ran it against our test. So we have to do something with img1 and img2, all right? So that's the template done. Now really pause the video. So this should be all the mental scaffolding needed to comprise the solution. You may need to use a hint, and that's okay. But anywho, I'm gonna go over spoilers in 3, 2, and 1. All right, so let's tackle the problem. All right, so the function consumes two images. So we should look in the documentation as to what we can use for operations on images, right? You can right click, the rectangle structure, and then search in help desk, and you should bring up this documentation page. All right, see if there's anything we can use. In this case, I just know that we have to use image width right here, right? That consumes an image and produces the width of that image, right? So this pass in an eclipse, 30, 40, and gets out that 30 from here. And we'll also need the image height. You may need to scroll around to see what you can use to solve this problem. It's all right. And anywho, we're going to do image width and image height of image 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the area of the first image and compare it to the area of the second image. So this isn't all programming knowledge here. There's some domain of geometry that we had to pull in. So you may have to remember in your geometry class that width times the height is the area of the image, right? It's how much space it occupies, all right? So some problems will, have knowledge outside of programming, right? Like it may draw on geometry, but we'll warn you that's so. And we'll try to keep it like to, scope to elementary, not elementary, but high school algebra and stuff. Anywho, so this is the area of the first one, right? We got to do the area of the second image. That's just changing this img1 to img2 here. So this one's the area of the second image. Now we just need to compare them. And that can be done with a greater than. All right. So if the area of the first image is larger than the area of the second image, then we should return what it is, all right? Let's see, it looks like a test fails here. So did I write that test wrong? A test wrong? Let's see, 16, 16, 32, 16. Yeah, looks like this test should really be false. So I must have ran through it too fast. That's all right, we can always go back to the earlier steps and fix that. There we go. All right, because this is smaller. The first one is smaller than the second one. All right, so I must have glanced over that. All right, so we can improve upon this solution because, as you can see here, we're writing this code twice. We're copying and pasting this code twice. It looks eerily similar, right? The only things that are changing are img1 and img2 here, and img1 and img2 here, right? All we're doing is trying to take the area of an image. So we can defer this to another function that will handle this task. All right, a helper function. So let's just do so. So we'll create a function called image area that consumes an image and produces a number. All right, so it produces the area of a given number, given image, whoops. All right, and just running through the design recipe here really quickly. Check, expect. Well, I gotta write the stub. Define image area of img. So that's just getting the image width of img times the image height of img. All right. And of course I missed the steps, but in this case I'm kind of skimming through the steps here, but in this case we did a problem similar to this in the earlier episodes. But you should always follow the steps, because in future problems, this will really help, build the mental scaffolding to tackle harder problems. So image area, let's just say, rectangle 8, 8, solid red. So this should be 64, all right? Just gonna write one test here. Again, I'm just quickly running through this function because it's something that we've done in the previous one. All right, so now that we wrote this function, we should use it, right? Image larger will compose this function. So let's just call that function image area of img1 and image area of img2. And we can delete these two and let that function take care of this calculation for us, all right? It removes duplication. It's more neater to read, right? It kind of reads like English, right? Take the area of image 1, take the area of image 2, and see if the first one is greater than the second one, all right? We run, all the tests should still pass, and so they do, including this one test that we added here. But anywho, this is another way to tackle the problem. It's a little more elegant, right? And yeah. All right, so let's check ourselves off for the code body. All right, there we go. Test review and refactor, so everything looks neat. We don't have any, control I to re-indent anything. I usually spam that as I'm typing, so I would recommend you guys get into the habit of that. So make sure all the arguments are spaced out and etc. All right, so just hand this in. So see image larger. All right, so you, and it's checking submission. Okay, cool. So now let's go to hand in, user 2, you. Oh, interesting. Yes. Ugh. User 2 and you. And we passed. All right. Thank you for watching, He-Man. If you wish to interact with more of your kind, join our Discord linked in the description or on screen. If you want to aid in my quest for world domination, consider hitting the sub button. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it, thumbs down if you didn't. Any questions, comments, or suggestions, fire away below. Also, check out the annotations on screen for the next relevant video.